Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. This is the daily forecast for Monday, July 29th, 2024. And a very special good morning to Arizona Raven, who is here bright and early with me. Hello. So, what have we got today? It is the day of the moon, which makes it the day of the goddess. We have a waning crescent moon. We are in the midst of Leo season, the Celtic tree month of Holly, salmon season, Saturn retrograde, Neptune retrograde, Pluto retrograde, and Chiron retrograde. All sorts going on. Now, for the details of the astrology, the sun is in Leo, a fixed fire sign, which represents achievement. The moon is fourth quarter Taurus, fixed earth, which represents industry. Then at 3:59 p.m. Central Time, the moon does go void, of course, and at 4:28 p.m. Central Time, it will enter the fourth quarter Gemini, mutable air, which represents being witty. So you're going to find a mood shift, and thankfully the void moon is pretty brief. It's in the middle of the afternoon. Most people are still at work, so you're probably not going to be attempting anything magical during that void moon time. So that works out really well for us today. Mercury is in Virgo, mutable earth, which represents efficiency. Venus is in Leo, fixed fire, which means to be ardent. Mars is in Gemini, mutable air, which is to be pugnacious. Jupiter is in Gemini, mutable air, which represents questing. Saturn is retrograding in Pisces, a mutable water sign, which means we need to redefine our dreams. Uranus is in Taurus, fixed earth, which represents renovation. Neptune is retrograding in Pisces, mutable water, which is about spiritual awakening. And Pluto is retrograding in Aquarius, a fixed air sign, meaning that we need to examine our intentions. Now, a little bit more detail on those retrogrades. For Saturn, re-examine your goals, reconsider your commitments, reclaim your authority. For Neptune, reimagine dreams, reclaim a sense of mystery, reclaim faith in magic. And Pluto, it's about reclaiming your ability to regenerate, reconsidering what deserves your energy, and releasing attachments that do not serve. And then for the Chiron retrograde, it's about restoring the heroic spirit. And given just the general atmosphere of current events around us, I think we are going to need to cultivate our heroism, perhaps for some of us for the first time, just because we are not living in an age in which cowardice is going to be a good option for anyone. It's never honorable, but you can't even really argue that it's prudent. People are really going to have to find their backbones. And we're pagans here. We're aware of the energetic conditions, so we can take advantage of this and hopefully be better positioned than the people who are not even aware of the ebb and flows of these energies. Now for that moon phase, again, it is in a waning crescent phase, which is about meditation and balancing. That's the kind of work. It's looking inward. It's about making adjustments. It's about getting back onto an even keel. Hopefully by this time you have released everything that you do need to release. But if not, you still have time before the new moon. For the Gemini moon, do socialize, do network, do negotiate with people. Don't get caught in unventilated spaces if you possibly can, especially since it's high summer. Hopefully. Okay, I don't know if the video and audio glitched on your end, but just in case it did, the don'ts are unventilated spaces. Hopefully you're not in that situation because it is summer. That would be very dangerous, but just in general, try not to get into a place that feels too close. Slow communicators, definitely this is not your day to be doing that. And of course, manic distractions. Distractions, they can serve a small purpose if we use them judiciously, but if we use distractions to avoid dealing with the things we ought to be dealing with, well, then of course that doesn't lead to good outcomes for any of us. Alrighty. And Arizona Raven said, just a little glitch here. Okay, awesome. Good to hear that. I don't know if it's a problem with my internet connection or if it is the streaming software or what the problem is, but it does seem to be beyond my control at the moment. So thank you, everyone, for tolerating this and bearing with me. Now let's get a little bit into this day of the moon. We have the chatty social Gemini moon. It's aligning with the Leo sun. So this is the day to build a team, reach out for feedback, take constructive suggestions to improve your projects as well as to improve your relationships, whether they are professional or personal. This is a very good time to be doing this, especially with the waning crescent moon, because it's cultivating your insides and it's making those adjustments to where you're not going to be fighting against a process that needs to take place. For our tarot today, we pulled the Two of Swords. The key words for this card are conformity, courage, friendship, rivalry, affection, concord in its state of arms, and choices. And remember when you're looking at the suit of swords, air element, masculine energy, projective, intellect, and for the number 2, think partnerships and rivalries. And even in the key words, you recognize that dichotomy of energies. There are things going back and forth. There's 2 paths to be going. There's 2 swords that are drawn that are pointing in opposite directions. There's a distinction to be made. There's a fork in the road. You can't continue on to do both, whatever that is. And I realize that perhaps especially for those who like to keep their options open, mutable signs, I'm looking at you. This might be a particularly aggravating card to see this morning, and I understand that. None of us like to be in a forced position, do we? We want to have that sense of freedom of I'm making a free choice. I'm not being compelled or browbeaten into anything. But sometimes that is not the situation that life presents us with. And, it is good to reflect and see that, did any of our own actions lead us to this position where we don't have a lot of options? But sometimes it's not even reflecting upon how you got there. Sometimes you just need to deal with the reality that is in front of you at the moment, and not fun. But again, that's what we're called upon to do: to make a decision, make a choice. And if you really feel that you're in the midst of 2 destructive choices, take a closer look at what your options really are. Things may not be as dire as what you suppose, especially if you've gotten any false advertising on whatever issues confronting you. And if all else fails, do the least amount of damage. If that's the best you can do, then just do the least amount of damage. Now for today's Celtic Triad, it reads, 3 qualities unbecoming in anyone: being importunate in asking, hard in giving, and ill in opinion. So asking for something at the wrong time, at the wrong moment, and in the wrong way, that does not cast a person in a good light, and it is most unlikely that you're going to be getting a favorable reply for that. I don't know how we got into this state of mind where we think, well, it doesn't matter how you say it if it's the truth. It doesn't matter how you go about doing anything if you're entitled to do it. We're going to have to bring back the etiquette books of our great-grandmothers, because they will explain in detail about why that does not lead to good things and why it is unreasonable to expect that we can go through the world treating people in a very callous, careless kind of way, and then expecting them to, be at the height of goodness towards us. Our whole society probably needs to do a lot of soul searching on that, to be honest. Then hard in giving. Being economical is good. I imagine all of us these days are being much more economical than we were 10 years ago, when I think most of us would agree we were in just a little bit of an easier economic condition, and not as worrying of a prospect as what's in our immediate future. But while it is good to be economical and to be prudent and to be careful, if you take that too far and you become tight-fisted, it's just ungracious. We can't take it with us. We should use our resources wisely. We shouldn't be, extravagant, especially in these conditions. However, we also shouldn't be so careful with everything that we never look for an opportunity to do anything good with our resources. And then being ill in opinion, the doomsayers, the hatefulness, okay, there we go. The endless bitching about everything, never being satisfied, no solution is good enough. What about this problem? What about that problem? Without the person doing the bitching offering any kind of constructive solution. It is really wearying. And I'll be honest, the people who I encounter on platforms like X, there comes a certain point where I don't need your energy in my system. People have gotten muted. Some people have gotten outright blocked just because for one, don't really believe in rewarding shitty behavior. And again, X is one of those platforms that people think they can behave absolutely atrociously and no one has the right to complain because it's X. And why should anyone be polite without ever, considering the question of whether or not it's beneficial to do that? One of my personal pet peeves. It makes me so crazy. because all of these things do are drain energy. It drains energy out of people's systems. It makes them less able to confront what they need to deal with. And also, it blinds people to possibilities. And this idea that you have to have this perfectly tailored, everything is going my way kind of solution. I don't know where people got that idea. Does that sound like real life to you? Of course, there's always going to be future challenges going forward. That's just the way that life is. So you deal with things in chunks and pieces. What matters is your trajectory. Are you going in an overall better direction? And that means sometimes you don't get everything that you want. But if you can get part of what you want, if you can go in the direction of what you want, isn't that worth something? And I swear to the gods, some of these people I encounter on X, with all of that, it's all doomed and there's nothing we can do and it's the end of everything. They are very fortunate they are on the other end of the screen because I have a ruler and I'm not afraid to whack some knuckles. And some of them, I think they just need that little jolt to their system. If they're going to be behaving ridiculously, then maybe they should be treated ridiculously. You're getting some unvarnished opinions this morning. This is what happens when I only have one cup of tea, gang. Let's see. Arizona Raven says that she still has her mother's etiquette books. Wonderful. That is a gold mine. It is a treasure trove. I'm so glad you have it because, my goodness, we may need you to quote from it so the rest of us can start behaving ourselves better. And also, she said everything is backwards. Oh, my goodness, that is the truth. I have a whole other rant on that opinion, which we may have to get into on another future video. And a very good morning to Violence is Life. Yes, indeed. And we do have a waning crescent. All right, next up, our magical intention today is grounding. Which, have you noticed just every single week there's something that gets people into this strongly, highly agitated emotional state? Now, I'm not saying that some of the causes are not warranted, because they are. However, it's this constant, heightened, I don't want to say panic mode exactly, but being in a state of extreme emotion. It accounts for a lot of the behavior we see. It accounts for a lot of the toxic energy that we are constantly having to filter through our systems and get rid of. And what we're really needing is just to kind of ground some of that stuff, because if we get so caught up in the emotion of something, it drowns out the voice of our brain, and it also drowns out the voice of our intuition, because the worst fears of the heart are not the same thing as our intuition or instincts, and it can be very difficult to make that distinction if all we have is the heart shouting and blasting us all the time. So I think grounding is going to be very helpful for us today. The color for this is ivory. The plant is the water lily. The animal is the tortoise, and the crystal is the quartz. Now, it may seem a little odd to see this very light color when we're talking about grounding, because probably like me, when you think grounding, the first color that would appear in your mind would be, brown, like the soil, maybe green, like, the grass on the ground, and so on and so forth. But white is the combination of all colors. It is a universal substitute for any color. And that is essentially what makes it suitable to be using in grounding work. And that's another thing, is that we should, especially if we have very limited resources, we should stock up on the kind of magical supplies that are very versatile, near universal. Now, with the color white, that is universal, which is why if you can only get one kind of color, always go for the white. You can use it for absolutely anything, and just be very practical. See, and then Arizona Raven tells us that she has Toby the tortoise. Oh, how cute! I do like turtles. I have kind of off and on relationship with most reptiles. I'm better about it than I used to be, but I've always thought that turtles are very cute. All right, for today's practice, it's Monday, so of course, as we've said many times, that is a great day to honor lunar deities, whichever one you best connect with. And then take another look at your chakras, which one of your chakras has improved the most, because I have been nagging you for months to work on particular chakras for each day of the week. So if you have actually been doing that, I realize not everyone does. These are just suggestions after all. But if you have undertook that work, which one of them just really seems like it's much more healthy, it's flowing in a better way, which one of that has been for you? And then, how do you think that's impacting your life? Because you should be able to see some kind of outer manifestation of that work. Then, on the astrology front, which one of your signs do you feel most at home with? Now, a lot of us have, difficult placements that are challenging to say the least, and that we can focus so much on that we forget about the signs that feel a lot more comfortable to us. And as we're working through our own stuff, there is a lot to be said for having periodic breaks to our comfort zone. If you're very comfortable with your sun sign, feed its needs. If it's, your Mars sign that you really are in line with that mode, kind of try to gravitate towards that energy from time to time. That way you are replenishing yourself, you're not dragging yourself down, and that way you will still have some energy when you're confronting areas that are personal weaknesses for you. Other practices you might do today are meditation. I mean, of course, we should probably be meditating every single day if we don't, but especially on a Monday, take the time to meditate, tackle some dream work, especially if you've been having dreams that are very vivid, but you can't quite grasp all the pieces, you aren't quite remembering, putting forth a little bit more effort for that, doing the dream work, that could lead you to some patterns that your unconscious mind has been trying to show you. So that could be very worthwhile to do. Alrighty, so Violence in Life tells us that she used to have a really big hunk of raw quartz. Not sure where it went, but I have a small cut and polished one I can hold today. That is absolutely fantastic. And the lovely thing about our small crystals, which I think are totally underrated, is that you can just stick them in your pocket, or you can have one of those crystal cages hanging around your neck, and it's just there, and you can passively absorb that energy. So there's a lot to be said for that. An Arizona native is telling us a little bit more about Toby. He's almost big enough for kids to ride. Wow. He's 25 years old. She's not a reptile person, but Toby needed a home. Once here, he feels like a yard guard, and he's so gentle. I love that. I absolutely love that. And because of the lifespan of turtles, this could be a legacy that's, really handed down to the rest of the family. I know there are some English estates that they have particular turtles that have just been around, hanging around in the garden since before anyone can remember. And they're practically one of the family because of that. I know, I think it's very sweet, these ongoing relationships. And it looks like Violence's Life is going to be seizing the dream work today. I mean, it's Monday, best day of the week for it. And finally, for our journal prompt, what do you want to sort out and just be done with before the next new moon? Now, speaking of the next new moon, let's see. I'm surrounded by papers and stuff, and okay, apparently I do not have the current year's almanac super handy to me. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I do. Haha! It was hidden inside of a notebook. I might appear very collected and organized with all of these videos. However, I assume there's a great deal of chaos that precedes the organization. So, the next new moon is going to be August the 4th. So we are very, very close to that. That is next Sunday. So you do have a little bit of time to tie up any loose ends that you need to be taking care of. And just sometimes if you make that list and you start thinking about how you can accomplish it, suddenly things that in the abstract seem like I'll never get all of this done, I can't possibly do it, suddenly it becomes small, manageable chunks. And those small manageable chunks are something that you can tackle. So you might be able to get done more than you think. Let's see. More on the lovely tortoise. He'll be around when Arizona's Raven's grandson is old, which I love that. Her office. I take it you're having some fellow feeling for my state of disorganization behind the scenes. I do my best. It's definitely better than what it used to be, but gosh, sometimes just looking for a book or a piece of paper, or I jotted down a note. Which one of my papers did I jot it down onto? The gods know, but I don't. Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Then Violence's Life says that she pulled the Wheel Tarot card. Ooh, so things are in motion. Things could be shifting for you today. That is going to be, that could be very interesting for you, particularly in this energetic climate. let us know how that works out for you as the day progresses. And she says organization is an ongoing process. My goodness, isn't that the truth? Oh, no such thing as a perfect system or a perfect person to practice the system if such a system did exist. Of that we can be sure. But that brings us to the end of the daily forecast for July 29th, 2024. In the comments, let me know if perhaps in September, if you would like to pick up doing these live daily forecasts. So, at least Monday through Friday. I'm going to reserve Saturday and Sundays for lazy girl mornings because everybody needs those. But just let me know if you prefer this format, because if you do, and because you're present and you're interacting and you're part of the conversation, I don't want to shut you out from that. So if this is kind of the format you prefer, keep letting me know, and I will be probably able to make that adjustment in September. Not a chance of it in August, but possibly September. So just keep that in mind. Let's see, is there anything? Oh, yes. Also, give me a few minutes after I shut down this broadcast, and I will be airing Pagan Tales for Njord. That'll probably be a shorter video than this one, but if you're interested in hearing a little bit about that, that will be available in just a few. But other than that, have a fantastic Monday. Attack the week. Let's get some things done, and I will see you guys here shortly. Bye.